I've heard stories of kings and kingdoms, heard about the royalty of queens and diamonds. They've got one thing in common, they fall, 'cause their crown is borrowed from you. You, Lord, reign forever and ever and ever. You, Lord, reign forever and ever and ever. My Bible tells me so, and I believe it. Now I know my place in His kingdom, child of the King of Kings. Yeah, that's who I am. No one can take that away from me now, 'cause I got you, Jesus. You, Lord, reign forever and ever and ever. You, Lord, reign forever and ever and ever. My Bible tells me so, and I believe it. And I believe it. You, Lord, reign forever and ever and ever. You, Lord, reign forever and ever and ever. My Bible tells me so, and I believe it. You, Lord, reign forever and ever and ever. You, Lord, reign forever and ever and ever. My Bible tells me so, and I believe it. And I believe it.
In my doubt, God, give me faith. In my worry, I'll seek your face. Let your perfect love make my path straight. In my life, God, lead the way. I wanna run with you for all my life. Jesus, I'm laying it down, I'm trading it all. I wanna be more like Jesus. Laying it down, I'm trading it all. I wanna be more like Jesus. Laying it down, I'm trading it all. I wanna be more like Jesus. I wanna run with you all my life. I wanna know your truth to my mind. Through the valleys, I lift my eyes. You lead me through, you're by my side. Yeah, you lead me through, you're by my side. You lead me through, you're by my side.
Long ago, I was born in Egypt, and right away, my life was chaos. You see, the Pharaoh was worried that the Hebrews would become too powerful and take his throne. That's when he did something terrible. He ordered all newborn Hebrew boys to be killed. My mom was very sad to send me away, but she knew that if I stayed, I'd die. So she placed me in the river and let me float away. And that's me in the basket. But God was watching over me and protecting me. And he let the daughter of the Pharaoh find me. She felt sorry for me, and she asked her maid to go and find my mom to help take care of me while I lived with the daughter of Pharaoh. She adopted me. I grew up there, which was my normal life until one day I made a terrible mistake. I felt that it wasn't right for the Egyptians to treat the Hebrews so poorly. I thought I was doing the right thing when I ran outside to save the man who the Egyptian was yelling at. But I did the wrong thing. I killed the Egyptian man. I knew that I would be in trouble, so I ran as far as I could. Now I've been living in this desert for a long time as a shepherd, and I'm 80 years old. I thought I would spend the rest of my life out here, but then just the other day, I saw the craziest thing. A bush in the desert was on fire, and I was so afraid. It wasn't burning up in flames, so I knew it had to be special. And then, God's voice spoke to me.
Moses! Moses!
Here I am.
Do not come any closer. Take off your sandals, for you are standing on holy ground.
God was speaking to me through a bush. I couldn't believe it. Hearing God talk to me was such an incredible moment. As you can imagine, I knew exactly what to say. I mean, hello, your most holiest excellency.
I have come down to rescue the Hebrews from the power of the Egyptians and lead them out of Egypt and into their own land that is flowing with milk and honey.
I think you have the wrong guy, God. I can't even talk without stuttering my words. See?
I will be with you.
So, I'm off to Egypt again, I guess. Look, guys, I'm so nervous. I'm not the right guy for this, but God chose me. So I know that he believes in me and I believe in him. So off I go, I guess.
Hey kids, I'm Kyle. Welcome to our Moses series. Moses lived a really interesting life with some crazy stories. Over the next 5 weeks, we are going to dive into the crazy path that God guides him on as he learns to be a leader for the people and the best follower of God that he can be. As you can already see, Moses' life did not start out perfect. But God saw him from the time that he was a baby and knew that he would lead a great life. He had a purpose for Moses, and he has a purpose and plan for each and every one of us. Do you remember what happened when Moses was little? Well, his mother placed him in a basket, hoping that he would be saved from the Pharaoh's order to have all of the little Hebrew boys killed. God took care of him from the very beginning. Moses could have been found by one of the guards and killed. But instead, the princess found him. And not only that, but the princess found his mother and let them be together until Moses was a little bit bigger. God was protecting him because he had big plans for him in the future. Moses was part of a group of people who were treated poorly by the Egyptians. They were called Hebrews. They were forced to do hard work in the hot sun all day, and they had no freedom. These were God's people, and he wanted to help them. So he waited for Moses because he knew that Moses would be the best person to help God's people. God knew that Moses would be the one to lead the people according to God's plan before he was even born. God chose Moses out of so many people to be the one to carry out his plan for the Hebrews. God has chosen special plans for us too. And so today we're learning God has chosen me. Hey, let's all say that together. You ready? God has chosen me. Moses also made mistakes just like the rest of us. He sinned. He was trying to save one of his own people from an Egyptian who wasn't treating him well, but he went about it in a really, really wrong way. Sometimes we sin and we're human, but we have to go to God and ask for his forgiveness. God chooses all of us even before we are born. He loves and accepts all of us as his children when we make him the leader of our lives, even knowing that we will all sin and make mistakes. God chooses us from the very beginning, but it's up to us to choose him and his plan for us and to continue to ask for forgiveness. So I want to read a verse about God's plan for each of our lives. We can find it in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. It says this, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope." God made each of us, and he chose each of us to have a relationship with him and live in the amazing plans that he has for our lives. But we have to make a choice too. We have to choose to start a relationship with God and then continue to connect with him through prayer and reading our Bible and going to church to learn more about him. God doesn't want us to run from his plan for us. He offers us forgiveness. God has chosen me. And let's all say that together. You ready? God has chosen me. Moses ran and hid in the desert after he sinned for years. But remember, God chose Moses and he had a plan for him. God appeared to Moses in the form of a burning bush. When Moses answered and was obedient, he began that relationship with God. But we also see that Moses wasn't sure of God's plan. Let's look at how Moses responds to God choosing him to bring his people to freedom. Moses' life takes place in the book of Exodus. If you need help remembering, just think of it like this. Moses helped the Hebrews exodus from Egypt, right? That's how I remembered it. So we're going to read from Exodus chapter 3, verses 10 through 12. And remember, Moses is talking to God through a bush that is on fire, but it's not burning up. God told Moses, "Now go, for I'm sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people Israel out of Egypt." Did you hear God's plan for Moses? God chose Moses to lead God's people to freedom out of Egypt. These are the people who were being forced to do hard work and were treated poorly. Well, let's see how Moses responds. But Moses protested to God, "Who am I to appear before Pharaoh? Who am I to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt?" Moses is questioning God's plan for his life. That's crazy, right? Well, that's what a lot of us do. We might not even know that we're doing that, but we have to listen to God and be open to the amazing plan for our lives. God has chosen me. Let's all say that together. You guys ready? God has chosen me. All right, well, let's see how God responds to Moses here. God answered, "I will be with you, and this is your sign that I am the one who has sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God at this very mountain." God told Moses that he would be right there with him. And when we make Jesus the leader of our lives, he's always with us. Moses was afraid that God chose the wrong guy because of the sin and mistakes he made in his past. But the amazing thing is God doesn't look at us for our mistakes. He sees us as his children when we make him the leader of our lives. He looks at us with love and forgiveness. God looks at us and says, I have an amazing plan for your life. All you have to do is follow me and I will be with you in the plan. God has chosen me. Let's all say that together. You ready? God has chosen me. So how do we begin to live as the people that God has chosen us to be? How do we live in the plans of hope and an amazing future that God has created for each of us? The first step is to make Jesus the leader of our lives, and then we need to continue to grow closer to God. We need to talk to Him through prayer and read our Bibles to find out the plans that God has for each of us. He has made every one of us unique, and He has chosen each of us for amazing things. And maybe you're ready to start that relationship with God and live as the person that He chose you to be. You don't have to wait for a burning bush. You can talk to God anytime. He's waiting for you to begin to live in the amazing life that He has planned for you. God is always there for you. All you have to do is start a conversation. And if you want to make Jesus the leader of your life, you can do that with me right now. Just pray along with me. Let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, thank you so much for the amazing things that you do for us. You chose each and every one of us, and you have a plan for our lives. And Lord, right now, I want to choose that plan. I want to choose you. So come into my heart, be the leader of my life. Amen. If you made that big decision to let Jesus into your heart today, please tell a leader, tell an adult, tell somebody around you. This is something that is to be celebrated. And don't forget, God has chosen you. When you choose Him too, your whole life will be changed and God will do big things in your life. Just wait and see. God has chosen me. Let's all say that together. You ready? God has chosen me.
Hey, I'm Hannah. I hope you all enjoyed the start of our Moses series. I love learning more about Moses' life, and I know you will too. Today we're focusing on the part of his life that teaches us that God chooses each and every one of us for His amazing plans. And you might feel nervous to live in the amazing plan that God has for you, just like Moses did. But we have to remember that God is always with us, just like He was with Moses. And our memory verse for this series talks about that. So let's start memorizing it. No one will be able to stand against you as long as you live. For I will be with you as I was with Moses. I will not fail you or abandon you. Joshua 1 verse 5. God has chosen me. Let's all say that together. Ready? God has chosen me.